All right, I'm just going to do a quick video to show how we're going to use this graphic organizer in case you're missing the meeting. I'm going to go pretty quick here. So I'm going to start off with my topic or issue, which for me was global warming. I'm going to put that right in the middle and circle it. And what I want to do is think about the effects of global warming. What effect does global warming have on the world or me personally? So I'm going to think of three effects. One of them is that weather patterns will change. It's going to rain more in some places, going to be drier in some places, more storms, etc. So weather patterns change. It's one effect. Polar ice will melt. Is another effect. And let's say temperature will rise in lots of cities and places. So Tokyo is going to be hotter in the summer, kind of cool, warmer in the winter. Temperature will rise. Right, so those are just three effects of global warming. Now I'm going to take each of those effects and think of what are some effects of that situation. So I changed to blue. I wrote two little sticks to say that these are secondary effects. So now that weather patterns are changing, what are some effects of changing weather patterns? Well, one effect might be animals might lose their habitat. It's going to be too hot for animals to live in some places, too dry, not enough rain. All sorts of things will cause animals to lose their habitat. Another effect of changing weather patterns is that there's going to be more extreme weather, stronger hurricanes, stronger typhoons, bigger snowstorms, longer droughts, longer heat waves. So extreme weather. Say more extreme weather. Maybe more unpredictable. We're not quite sure what's going to happen with that. Another effect of changing weather patterns might be that it's harder to grow food in certain places. In Japan, we grow rice with water. Maybe doesn't rain as much. Maybe we can't grow rice. Places become too dry, not enough rain, harder to grow food. So those are three effects of changing weather patterns. I would do the same thing for polar ice melting. What happens if the polar ice melts? Well, one might be polar bears lose their home. Ice melts, sea levels will rise. If the ice melts, it will actually speed up warming because the ice reflects a lot of the heat back into space. Without that ice, the ocean will absorb that water and it will get warmer. I'll do the same thing with rising temperatures. But let me skip back to my first one. And now I want to think, what are some effects? I'm going to switch colors again to pink, draw three lines out, and I want to think, what are some effects if it's harder to grow food? What might happen? Well, one thing might be there might be less variety. When we go to the grocery store, there's not all those different fruits and vegetables because it might be too hard to grow them. Japan can only now grow potatoes and corn, for example. So we don't have all those choices. Food might become more expensive because it's harder to grow. Another effect is that if it's harder to grow food, people who are subsistence farmers, like we kind of saw in the beginning of the year, people who grow their own food to survive, they might not be able to grow food and then people will starve. If where I live It's not good to farm anymore, and that's how I get most of my food. That's a big, big, big problem. Right, so we can now see we have all these different effects from global warming. Global warming doesn't by itself make food become more expensive, but through the chain of effects, ultimately food will become more expensive, as will these other things. So I want to continue doing that for my other effects. I didn't write them here just to save time, but if we said polar ice will melt, that will lead to polar bears losing their habitat. What are some effects of polar bear losing their habitat? If polar ice melts, sea level rises. What are some effects of rising sea levels? Coastal cities might flood. Fish habitat might change, etc. So I want to do the same thing for all of those. I'm going to keep doing that now, and I'll catch up to you in a few seconds. So here is my completed model. I'll move it around so you can see. And it's filled up with loads and loads of effects of things that can happen because of global warming. And I have tried to have all different effects. Very, very few pink bubbles say the same thing. I didn't want to jump right to the end of, oh, people die. That could be an effect later down the chain. But I wanted to try to really think of what's the very next effect that's going to happen. So if you look at my key, everything in black is the primary or first effect of global warming. Everything in blue is like a secondary effect. Everything is pink is a third or tertiary effect of global warming. So as you can see, lots and lots of effects. Thank you.